It's a good bounce back win for us today. I thought we started the game with the right tone on the defensive end, and so that was that was by design for us to get back to our normal.
You would think that when a single player single-handedly saves an entire league from financial irrelevance, the veterans, the coaches, and the executives would roll out the red carpet. You would think they would protect the golden goose that is finally bringing private jets, million-dollar endorsements, and sold-out arenas to a sport that has struggled for profitability for nearly 30 years. But if you thought that, you don't understand the deep-seated politics of the WNBA. Instead of a red carpet, Caitlin Clark has been met with hard fouls, public shade from legends, and a bizarre exclusion from the Olympic stage. But now, the Cold War has turned hot. We have a perfect storm of events that has exposed the reality of the situation. We have a Team USA coach effectively doubling down on her controversial stance. We have a leaked labor agreement showing that the veterans want the money Clark generates without giving her the credit. And we have a visit to Nike headquarters that reportedly sent shockwaves of jealousy through the locker rooms of the league. The veterans are raging, the agreements are leaking, and the undeniable truth is finally coming out. There is a price to pay for being the face of the league, and Caitlin Clark is paying it every single night. Buckle up, because we are about to expose the timeline of resentment that is threatening to tear the WNBA apart from the inside. To understand the rage, you have to follow the money. And there is no bigger pile of money in women's basketball right now than what is sitting in Caitlin Clark's bank account. Recently, Clark made a high-profile visit to the Nike World headquarters in Oregon. On the surface, this looks like standard business, a star athlete visiting their sponsor. But inside the WNBA circles, this visit was viewed as a coronation that skipped the hierarchy. You have to remember, there are players who have been grinding in this league for 10 or 15 years, winning MVPs and championships, who have never sniffed the kind of treatment Clark is getting before her rookie season even ended. Reports surrounding the deal put the value at $28 million over 8 years, including a signature shoe. That signature shoe part is crucial. In the history of the WNBA, only a tiny handful of players have ever received a signature shoe. Legends like Diana Taurasi, Cheryl Swoops, and eventually Aja Wilson. It is the ultimate status symbol. For a rookie to walk in and be handed the keys to the Nike Kingdom sparked a level of envy that is hard to quantify. While veterans are flying commercial, or were, until Clark's arrival forced charter flights, and fighting for better amenities, Clark is being treated like the Michael Jordan of the women's game. Insiders suggest that this Nike visit was the visual representation of everything the old guard hates. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the optics. Nike rolled out the red carpet, signaling to the world that the future is Caitlin Clark, and the past is, well, everyone else. When you have veterans who feel they built the league brick by brick, getting overlooked for the new kid on the block, it creates a volatile environment. And as we'll see, that financial jealousy didn't stay at Nike HQ. It followed her right onto the court and into the boardroom. While the veterans were stewing over the shoe deal, a major bombshell dropped on the business side of things. The WNBA Players Association, the union that represents all the athletes, announced they are opting out of the current collective bargaining agreement, the CBA. Now, legal talk usually sounds boring, but this is actually the smoking gun of the entire controversy. The players are opting out because they want more money. They want higher salaries, better benefits, and a bigger share of the league's revenue. Here is the irony that has fans shaking their heads. The only reason they can even dream of demanding this money is because of the Caitlin Clark economy. The TV ratings are up hundreds of %. Merchandise sales are through the roof. Attendance is shattering records. The leverage the union has right now is entirely built on the back of the rookie they seem to despise. The leaked details of their demands suggest they want a capitalization on this new growth. It is a classic case of biting the hand that feeds you. The veterans are in a strange position where they have to publicly minimize Clark's impact to protect their own egos, claiming the league was great before she got here, while simultaneously using her numbers to negotiate their pay raises. It's a hypocritical stance that hasn't gone unnoticed. You have the union president and other leaders talking about equity and respect, but the timing of this opt-out confirms that they know exactly where the money is coming from. They want the cash that Clark generates, but they don't want to admit that she is the one generating it. This CBA negotiation is going to be the battleground where the jealousy meets the reality of economics. And it's going to get ugly. If the money is the fuel for the fire, the Team USA Olympic snub was the spark. And recently, the discourse around this has shifted from speculation to what feels like a confirmed bias. Coach Cheryl Reeve, who coaches the Minnesota Lynx and Team USA, made the executive decision to leave the most popular women's basketball player on the planet at home during the Paris Olympics. At the time, they hid behind basketball criteria, claiming they needed experience and defensive prowess. But as time has passed, and as Clark has broken nearly every rookie record in the book, including the single-season assist record and the rookie scoring record, that excuse has crumbled. Coach Reeve recently had opportunities to soften her stance, or admit that, in hindsight, Clark would have been an asset. Instead, the double down has been real. The refusal to give credit where it is due feels like a confirmation of the mean girls politics governing the selection process. When you look at the interactions between Reeve's team and Clark during the regular season, the tension is palpable. The way the Lynx played against the Fever wasn't just competitive, it was personal. And the recent confirmation comes from the silence, the refusal of the USA basketball hierarchy to acknowledge that leaving Clark off the team was a marketing disaster and a competitive oversight. By sticking to their guns, even as Clark destroys the league, they are confirming that this wasn't about winning games. It was about maintaining the pecking order. They couldn't let the rookie outshine the veterans on the global stage, so they simply removed her from the equation. We cannot talk about this situation without addressing the elephant in the room, Diana Taurasi. Before the season even started, the Phoenix Mercury legend went on national television and issued a warning. She told Scott Van Pelt that reality is coming for Caitlin Clark. She implied that playing against grown women would crush the rookie's spirit, and that she wouldn't be able to do what she did in college. It was a moment that set the tone for the entire season. Now, let's be fair. Rookies always struggle to adjust. But Taurasi's comments weren't just tough love. They sounded like a threat. It felt like a mobilization order for the rest of the league. And when reality finally arrived, it looked a lot like Caitlin Clark dropping triple-doubles and breaking league records. The irony, of course, is that the reality hit the veterans harder than it hit Clark. The reality is that they are playing in sold-out arenas for the first time in their careers, and the fans are wearing number 22 jerseys, not number 3. Taurasi's comment aged like milk, but it revealed the mindset of the league's elite. They wanted her to fail. They needed her to fail to validate their own struggles. If Clark walked in and dominated immediately, which she effectively has done in the second half of the season, it invalidates the idea that the WNBA is this insurmountable mountain that takes years to climb. The reality is coming narrative was a shield the veterans used to protect their legacy, and Clark smashed right through it. If Taurasi was the bad cop, Cheryl Swoops has been the worse cop. The discourse surrounding Sheryl Swoopes has been one of the most bizarre elements of this entire saga. Swoopes, a legend of the game, has been caught multiple times spreading factually incorrect information to downplay Clark's achievements. From falsely claiming Clark played 5 years in college to break the scoring record, she played 4, to ignoring her stats while praising others, it has felt like a targeted campaign of erasure. This isn't just about forgetting a stat line, it's about controlling the narrative. When a legend of the game refuses to say the name of the sport's biggest star or tries to put asterisks next to her records, it sends a signal to the rest of the league that it is okay to disrespect her. It validates the jealousy in the locker room. Swoopes was recently removed from the commentary booth for a game involving the Fever, likely because the network realized that her bias was becoming a liability. This erasure is a psychological tactic. By refusing to acknowledge her greatness, they hope to dim her shine. But the problem with this strategy is that the box score doesn't lie. You can ignore her on a podcast, but you can't ignore the 19 assists she drops on your favorite team. The attempts by the old guard to rewrite history in real time have only alienated fans and made the veterans look petty and insecure. The resentment we are talking about isn't just hurt feelings and mean tweets, it has physical consequences. Throughout the season, we have seen Caitlin Clark take hits that would result in suspensions in the NBA. We saw Chennedy Carter of the Chicago Sky hip check Clark to the ground away from the ball, a play that had nothing to do with basketball and everything to do with sending a message. We've seen Angel Reese and others deliver hard fouls to the head and neck area. The league's response? Silence, mostly. Or upgrades to flagrant fouls days after the fact, when the public outcry becomes too loud to ignore. This physical targeting is the manifestation of the rage mentioned in the title. When you can't stop her from scoring, and you can't stop her from getting the Nike deal, and you can't stop the fans from cheering for her, the only thing left is to physically punish her. It is the last resort of a group that feels their power slipping away. Some analysts call it toughness or earning your stripes. But look closely at the footage. Rookies get hazed, sure, but they don't get headhunted like this. This is different. This is specific. It is an attempt to intimidate a player who threatens the status quo. And the scary part is, the referees and the league office seemed hesitant to step in for months, almost as if they didn't want to upset the veterans by protecting the rookie too much. It's a dangerous game that risks the health of the very players saving their pension fund. Let's circle back to the money, because the scale of this is mind-boggling. The WNBA recently secured a media rights deal worth over $2 billion over roughly a decade. This is a quantum leap from where they were. It is life-changing money for the league. And while the executives will pat themselves on the back, everyone with a calculator knows that the valuation skyrocketed the moment Caitlin Clark declared for the draft. The networks, Disney, Amazon, NBC, are not paying billions for the WNBA of 2022. They are paying for the WNBA of the future, the one where millions of people tune in to watch the Indiana Fever. This is where the tension with the new collective bargaining agreement leaks comes from. The veterans feel entitled to this money because they kept the league alive during the lean years. And there is some truth to that. They did keep the lights on. But keeping the lights on doesn't get you a billion-dollar valuation. Turning the lights into a spotlight does. Clark brought the spotlight. The conflict arises because the veterans want the reward for the survival phase, while the market is paying for the expansion phase. The rage comes from the realization that their years of sacrifice didn't move the needle the way one girl from Iowa did in 6 months. It's a harsh reality check that business doesn't care about seniority. It cares about eyeballs. Inside the WNBA, the culture is tight-knit. It's a small league. Only 12 teams, 144 roster spots. Everyone knows everyone. They played against each other in college. They play overseas together in the off-season. It is a sisterhood. But Caitlin Clark is the outsider. She didn't come up through the traditional AAU circuits in the same way. She didn't blend into the existing cliques. She came in as a supernova. Rumors have persisted all season about a freeze-out. On the court, you see opponents helping each other up, joking at the free throw line. But when Clark hits the deck, she's usually picking herself up. It's subtle, but it's there. The body language of the opposing benches, the lack of dap after games from certain stars. It paints a picture of isolation. This isolation is calculated. If they can make her feel unwelcome, if they can make her feel like an alien in her own league, maybe she will humble herself. Maybe she will defer to the veterans. But Clark's personality, fiery, competitive, and unapologetic, doesn't allow for submission. She barks back. She hypes up the crowd. And this refusal to kiss the ring only makes the cliques angrier. It is a classic high school dynamic played out on a national stage with millions of dollars at stake. You cannot tell the story of the war on Caitlin Clark without mentioning Angel Reese. The media has pitched them as the bird and magic of this generation. But the dynamic is fueled by the resentment we've been discussing. Reese has openly embraced the villain role, often positioning herself as the alternative to Clark. The veterans have largely rallied around Reese. Why? Because Reese pays homage to the culture they built. She fits the mold they are comfortable with. When Reese commits a hard foul on Clark or throws shade in a press conference, the veterans nod in approval. They see Reese as one of their own, fighting back against the chosen one. This proxy war allows the older players to root against Clark without getting their hands dirty. They can praise Reese's dog mentality while ignoring the fact that Clark is statistically outperforming everyone. It creates a divide in the fan base and the league. Team Clark versus Team everybody else. And the veterans have firmly planted their flag on the side of everybody else. For years,